Plant Hunter Guy podcast.
We're here for the next instalment of the Plant Hunter Guy podcast, and I'm really excited to be joined by Judith from Dandelion Farewells. We met recently in an event and we had a fantastic conversation, and I thought, why not ask if you'd like to come on the programme? So tell us a bit more about your business. Tell us a bit about your business and introduce yourself. It'd be great to do.
Thanks for having me over today. It's good to link. So Dandelion Farewells is an independent funeral directors, which I established in 2015. And we're based, our little home is in Wisborough Green, and yet we support funeral services nationally, as every funeral director would, but predominantly a 30-mile radius from our start point.
So you can go beyond that 30 mile. You did, wow.
We bring people into our care from further afield, or people who have lived locally here but actually have funeral wishes to be laid to rest further afield. Yeah.
So literally from where we are, you must have done about a 5-minute journey. I mean, you're one of our neighbours, which is why when we met at that event, it was really nice to speak. I'm really always interested in meeting other local businesses. So tell us a bit about your path into then becoming a funeral director.
My gosh, life before funerals. I don't know if there was such a thing, really. Back in the day, so I trained after A-levels, went off to do a degree in applied social studies and social work training, professional training. So that was my career path. I think actually I thought I'd probably be a probation officer. My parents thought, no, I don't think so. And the careers officers had no idea about social work, anything that I was exploring. So anyway, happily went off to Sheffield to do my degree. And even then, I don't think I really knew where I was going to be placed professionally. But for my dissertation, I studied grief and bereavement. And I had a sort of mindset at that point, probably thinking about hospice care or something. Yeah. But actually, when I graduated from Sheffield, came down south, travelled with family, and started working at the local hospital, at Crawley Hospital, and I worked for Age Concern as a GP-attached carer support worker. So a number of different things I was exploring and looking into doing. Yeah. Then it's about life before kids. That was all that phase of time. And then had a 10-year career break, really, from professional social work while focusing on our family. But had this itch to get back into what I felt I really enjoyed, working with people at times of change, which was really the work I was doing. Because I do look at every life event as a time of change. Whether it be something very positive you intentionally want to do, you are still losing and grieving a form of identity, a form of something. So actually those grief theories I was always incorporating within professional practice.
Going through that's on a sort of
every day with people. You know, if you've had a stroke and you've had a loss of mobility, it's a grief, it's a process. It's how we as humans adapt to change, particularly when it's acute and it's difficult and it's tricky and it hurts and it's hard. So I was always using those theories. I think it really informed my social work practice. Yeah.
When you were doing that out of interest, would you tend to work with families or individuals, or could be different scenarios?
Individuals. I was working adult care, adult care services. Yeah. But I knew that when I'd had my career break through other various circumstances that really made me think about funerals, I didn't want to go back into statutory social work. I thought there was something else I wanted to be doing. And as often colleagues within this sector talk about, they themselves went to a funeral or had a bereavement, and it really made them start to think about what do we do? Which was my experience.
So you'd been to a funeral and been frustrated by that, possibly? Yeah.
Perhaps more, I've reflected on a funeral that was very significant to me to attend because I knew the person very closely. And actually, there were so many things that ricocheted around my mind afterwards. In that time, I was in such shock that my friend had died, that even as the coffin was being carried from the church, I remember sitting there and probably wailing like a banshee. I'd never made these kind of noises before, and I clearly was mourning, was in shock and mourning her loss. And I remember friends, sometimes you have experiences when you know things are happening around you, and it was that moment where I could hear another friend talking to my husband saying, oh my gosh, what should we do? What should we do with her? And I was like, please don't do anything. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I know I need to do this. Please don't interrupt me, because I am so sad if I can't do this in this space. It just made me really think about the purpose of a funeral, why do we do funerals, and allowing people to find that story for themselves. And I was very involved in our church, and so I saw lots of funerals come and go. And then I got a little bit, curious. Who are the 4 strange people? Well, I don't know them. I don't know if they're strange in real life, but to me, they're strangers. And they're carrying the coffin in and out of people that we know. Who are they? Kind of who invited them? And where's our person been then? That's where the curiosity came. And I sat with that for a couple of years. And then January the 1st, 2014, woke up and thought, I'm going to inquire about this. Because I think this is what I want to do, something within more of a direct funeral bereavement service.
So there's kind of a thread, obviously a big thread all the way through that led you to that point of mainly wanting to start a business. But just starting a business in general.
Oh mate, I did not set out to start a business. No way.
Okay.
In 2014, I was contacting everyone to try and be employed.
Yeah.
I did not set out to do this.
Yeah.
So it's just an amazing organic evolution, to be fair, of many people from the sector who have guided and informed me, training I've chosen to undertake. People have come into the company and been employees and colleagues and helped. It really has been an evolution. It was not a game plan. It was going to be employed.
Yeah. And because of that sort of, I suppose, safety of that, and also it was a huge career change anyway, so that makes total sense. So you, at that point, were you thinking about starting a business then?
No, Guy, never. This was not a game plan, if you like. I, in 2014, contacted 30 funeral directors, cemetery managers, crematoria managers. January 1st, I sent those letters out thinking, I want to find out more.
Amazing.
Only one person replied positively. So I thought, I'll have as many cups of coffee with that person. That's kind, but what are the other people doing? Why is it such a closed sector? But I did have opportunity in 2014 to be employed by 2 large corporate companies, and I've managed both for 3 weeks and thought, I can't do that.
Really?
Oh yeah, but I was looking for my niche. I was looking for my niche. I was not.
Is that a nation? Does that mean they're nationwide?
Nationwide company.
Okay.
Yeah, who have local branches. But I thought,
understood.
That's cool. But even in those first few weeks of training program, I thought this doesn't fit with what I feel I would need. Now, I'm not really odd or particularly emotionally needy, but I just thought they're not contemporary. They're not engaging with folk. It's a process, and they will fulfil a funeral. But I don't know. I'd need more emotional connection and.
So it felt almost very much more. The business maybe was more at the forefront of the way it was run, rather than it being
many amazing people working within those companies. But the model wasn't something that I felt I wanted to give my commitments to, really. And I didn't want to either exploit those people that I was getting to know. I thought, I'm just going to learn from you. I can't do that. So I'm out. Yeah. But I
just when, when we do quite a lot of work with young people, especially through our apprenticeship scheme, and when someone's starting out on their journey, is not too dissimilar when someone's making a career change, or
yes, yeah.
Because the way you're describing that is, it almost you just we really recommend young people test the water, come and do a trial day here, do some work experience, and from that, don't you? You get more of an idea.
Yes.
But because you were further down the line in terms of your career and you'd had children, did you feel that you could be quicker in your decision making around that wasn't the right option for you with a larger company? So you were sort of.
Well, quite possibly for me too. I was going to have to do everything quite a big juggle, a domestic juggle.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be getting the kids to breakfast club and doing this and doing that, I'm going to really enjoy it and really go for what I want to be doing. And I did feel that I was maybe being employed for my network in the local community, and I thought, don't exploit that. I want to be me, and I want to work with authenticity and have some scope to do what I feel I want to give to people or offer. And they just don't have those mechanisms really, so I knew they weren't for me.
Yeah, it's good though.
But I was not going to set up to do my own business. Somebody offered me a job locally, and I laughed and said, I don't want to work full time. I'm now 24/7 and on call. So.
You've gone the other extreme. So you mentioned training as well. So what sort of training do you and what roles did you end up finding yourself in before the business side? Before you started business, what did you do then?
So as a sector, I call it a sector because I'm not comfortable necessarily with industry or profession, depending on who and how we're talking about it. But as a sector, it is non-regulated.
Yeah.
Anybody can set up as a funeral director.
You said that to me when I first met, which I found quite shocking to hear. Yeah, okay.
I find that to some degree a comfort in that nobody owns the dead, and if we become like some other countries where you have to legally have a funeral director, you have to do X, Y and Z, we are really defining end of life choices for people. But equally the sector, and I mean, people have been going on about this for decades now, 20 years, asking the government for some kind of regulation, whatever that form will take. And sadly, we're familiar with recent cases where people have been really hurt by a poor practice from funeral directors.
So that's a good question. So in terms of the regulation, what basic regulation would you put in, having now the experience you've got? Have you got any sort of suggestions around what you would recommend?
A minimum premises requirement. I believe in education, I believe in training. I've been involved myself with the British Institute of Funeral Directors for my own training. Yeah. I'm very proud of the qualification I achieved. That is really rigorous. But I think, will we ever minimise rogue folk? Probably not in any sector, but we do need to protect bereaved people, very vulnerable people, and also the dead who have no voice. So there should be an accountability across the sector that we can check in on each other. But when we're kind of marking our own homework, that's going to be a bit difficult. So I believe there needs to be an independent regulatory body. Yeah,
it makes sense, doesn't it? But
I also expect it though, wouldn't you?
No, that's why I was quite shocked when you said it to me. But I also hear what you said about it's really important as well that you allow it to be flexible and enough freedom in it for.
Yes.
As I said, with people at the time they're at, it's okay. Yeah, it's a balancing act, isn't it? It's tricky. So then, what led you to start a company then? If you had been sort of so adamantly against that,
I looked left and right and couldn't see something that I would feel comfortable either working within or would meet my needs, and those are my friends, my generation. Make sweet statements, but it just felt like it was a bit Dickensian and Victoriana and odd, frankly, odd. And I didn't know there was much scope. And so back in the day then, there were quite a few women making the same inquiries around the country. So I guess we were a bit of a tribe of progressive funeral directors and just wanting to ruffle some feathers, not to offend anybody, but just to ask why. Why do we do it this way? Why? And if it's become about business, then we need to rethink that. Yeah. So I just was working at a local burial ground in Guildford, met some really, really good folk. I thought, I get it. I get the way they do this, and this is how I feel funeral care and bereavement support should be provided. So there I went to go for it. We'll support you, go for it. Hence January 15.
Amazing. Yeah. Very quick.
Well, just kind of thinking I'd just do a few funerals every now and again. Genuinely. Just that's what I thought I'd do. I'd just be available, set the business up professionally, but actually work from home for 12 months, but subcontracted care facilities where I needed them to be. It's very transparent with families. But then we got traction and thought, I keep dipping in and out of other funeral director premises for the care of the people I'm responsible for. Yeah. Just wanted our own little home really, and somewhere came available in Lisbon Green.
And that's important, is it? Because it gives a place that they can come to, that you've created a safe space, as I imagine, that's comforting and peaceful and all those things.
I just don't live maroon and mahogany, which is what a lot of, or lilac, depending on which companies you go to, I just don't.
True, yeah.
Like Venetian blinds and mahogany desks and the very dour. And I thought, I don't live like that. Do you live like that?
No,
it just needs to be difference. There just needs to be choices. Yeah. I thought, well, I don't want to sit behind a desk and make this formulaic. I know I was with one company being trained for those first conversations, for the first arrangement, which you actually do within one meeting. We were being timed to complete that in 45 minutes.
Wow.
Well, Guy, I like to chat. I probably just had a cup of tea and a chat with the family. Yeah. So they've got to know me a little, and I've got to know them within 45 minutes.
So this is the first moment you meet, and you're
quite possible
trying to make sure it's the right thing for them as well, for both of you. Yeah. And being timed in that is really tricky. I mean,
it was a tick box going through.
Process.
Yeah.
So it's very different, but we host weddings here. But one of the things when Sada and I started, we said we do not.
Sada.
It's great. So Sala does a lot of work here, and she was on podcast recently. We just did not want this to be a conveyor belt wedding venue, so we really only want to do 10, 15, 20 a year max kind of thing. And that's really important to us. So it's almost an interview at that beginning meeting. We want to make sure that both parties want to do this and that we're the right venue.
Yes.
So it's sort of similar. And
Yes.
and in terms of that feeling when someone comes in and you meet, you want it to feel the right thing for them. It's their special day. It's a really important day for their family. So there's quite a similarity there, isn't there?
Yeah, and I think I often say to people, at the time when you feel most out of control and disempowered, someone's died, maybe within a hospital system you don't understand, or things have happened and it's all just very often escalated very quickly. We want to slow it down and put some control back for people rather than saying, well, you have to use this company. And there are nursing homes that will always bring in the same funeral director or GP surgeons, things like that, which recently the government have tried to change, but we know it still happens, and you think there should be choice. Give people choices.
Yeah.
And let's call it out. You know, it's a financial interaction as well, and it's significant money, and we need to know that people feel that they are making informed choices about where they spend that money.
Yeah.
Because actually, a funeral is the biggest panic spend for a lot of people.
Yeah, man. How as a sort of percentage roughly, how many people pre-plan their funeral and what they're going to do? Is that a high percentage or not really?
Well, I probably need to break down the question, because there's in my mind, to my language, there's pre-planning, making your wishes known, and there's financial pre-planning, and that financial market is huge. I mean, I don't know how much daytime TV you have time to watch.
Not very much.
No, me neither. But when I am just hanging around the house, you think, oh my gosh, there's so many adverts for taking out a funeral plan and direct cremation. And so a lot of folk, I mean, my parents included, ring me and say, do I need to do this? There's a kind of whipping up of anxiety. No, you don't need to do that. No, you don't need to do that. Because have a conversation about your wishes, please, 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 please. But I'm not a big fan of financial prepaid plans.
So the financial bit is that you've prepaid for it, but the other one could just be that you've shared your wishes.
Yeah. We have a whole programme called My Wish is My Way, when I go and talk to families, groups, work settings, bunch of friends. So in the event of my unexpected death, probably my husband will go, even my husband will go to my friends and go, what did she want, what next? Because he doesn't want to talk about it, you know, and we do talk about things, but he will lean left and right to say, what do you think, everybody? Because it needs to serve you as well. Well, if we've never had those conversations, anyone's had those conversations.
And if you have, though, they also can change. That's my regularly, you know. So I'm pretty, I've maybe quite ahead of time possibly, but I've because of the company and the fact I feel like I've got staff and my family and all these different dependents, my will is all done and it's all set up, so it's go. But it's very much more with that financial side in mind, you know, assets and how we can distribute them and all that stuff. Can people put in their wishes in their will, and how is that sensible?
If you appoint an executor, they have to enact your wishes. But I'd say to people, even if you just have a conversation, we've got tools and resources that we can share with people, and just say, just write it down. Put it in a drawer somewhere. Tell people where that drawer is. Or
that allows you then to edit it.
Say, you know, just in the event anything happened to you when you go on holiday next week, what are you thinking? Because what are you thinking? I ask my kids when they go abroad. Can I just check in? And they go, not again. But
it's for you, it's at the forefront of your mind, though, right? Because all you do.
And it's at the forefront of my mind because one of the very first families I supported was a gentleman whose wife had gone on a holiday, on a youth holiday as a leader, and she died unexpectedly. And I met him, and he said they'd been married for 52 years, and his soulmate had died. He's absolutely bereft and broken. And here I come in with a zillion questions, and I said, do you have any thoughts about the funeral, burial or cremation? He said, no, we never talked about it, but I do want to do the right thing. And those two things just are not compatible particularly. It's then how does the conversation unfold to try to a measure to help him think about some conversations you had, even if it wasn't written down. And I just remember the sense of anguish and me feeling so barren with how am I going to help this situation. So that's why my wish is my way was born, as it were, because we must be able to have these conversations in quite a light-hearted way. And I'll start with, what would you hate? So I'll often ask people the most bizarre thing and say, would you like that? And I go, I'd hate that. Well, let's write down what you wouldn't like then. Because then you're giving licence to people to do what the choices they want to make.
Yeah, it's really clever. So that's one of the, say people listening now, and it's a subject, which is why when I met you, I thought it'd be great to get on it, because it is a really difficult subject for a lot of people to talk about. So if there were 3 things you'd want people to think about, you said buried or cremated, that's one question I'm assuming that's quite important.
Start at 10, quite
okay, so give us 2 others that you'd say are quite important things to maybe share with loved ones or friends.
It would be that maybe rather than the specific things, it would just be, do you know you don't have to have an attended funeral? Do you know a coffin can go anywhere? You could host a funeral here. There's no licences for where a funeral can happen. Don't feel you have to do things because you feel you should.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, not saying names, but with the more corporate business, I'm assuming they're less flexible with regards to what they can offer. Is that right? And whereas with your business, I'm assuming you're almost entertaining the idea of people being more open-minded.
We are always starting with a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah, brilliant.
And so actually, and the way in which the financial model is for Dandelion Farewells is that we have our professional fee and then everything else we bring in at cost. So whether you decide to bring the coffin in your own transit van or hire a London bus and 10 limousines, there's no financial difference to me. I'm not going to upsell you anything because I don't own it. I don't need you to buy it because I don't own it. Yeah. Which is a very different position because then the choice is for you. There's no vested financial interest to me as to what decisions you make. Whether you have no flowers, I keep saying you, but it's not a funeral. Whether somebody has no flowers or 20 arrangements. Yeah. We will just make the payment to the florist that the family have engaged with. I don't have any commission basis. So that is a real breath of fresh air within the sector because some of the myths that people have are probably not myths entirely. You know, people do upsell and commission basis and all that kind of thing that is in business across sectors. But I just thought, I just wanted to provide something different.
Yeah, it's fantastic. You touched on it briefly around that you sort of were mentioning that it's slightly male dominated or was. Any change in that, and is that an important thing for you to try and change that?
Certainly when I began, it really felt to me that it was a male dominated sector. Clearly it'll take time for change to bed in, but I think there is more place, an accepted place for women, though I still know of local companies that don't allow women to conduct on the day of a funeral. And you hear these things. For us, so there are no pink and blue jobs. Yeah. And there'll be things that each person is more inclined to prefer to do or more skilled to do, but we all just have to
explain what you were saying earlier to me around that
Yeah. So I hear phrases, and when I hear them from people out there in the community and normal Joe public, I think, oh, why do they think that? Well, that's fair enough. So people go, oh yeah, the 2 men in black arrived and took mum away. I think, my gosh, that's just I feel a really sad reflection because sometimes the logistics and manual handling, people upstairs or larger folk, that is something that I can contribute to, but I may be not the best person. So I might need to have 2, 3 male colleagues to help, depending on our circumstance that we're supporting. But particularly with lady, we will endeavour to send a lady just to be there on representing us, but just as a connection with family. For many people, it's not that important, but it is for me. It would be if it was my mum. Yeah. And I'd like to know who was looking after and how they were going to look after and where they were going to do that. Those questions would be important to me. So is there a gender change? I think yes. For example, who carries the coffin? If there's a lady bearer, it's really unusual and people will sometimes make a detrimental comment about that. Really? But if she's able to lift as any of the men can, what's the problem? So you've got to be pretty gutsy, I think, in this industry at the moment to be really comfortable in your own skin.
I assume that's coming from within the industry rather than from those using the industry. Or you think it's from both?
I think.
Yeah, it's strange. I don't understand that really, but
And at the end of the day, people have choice. So I will always say to somebody, in your mind's eye on the day of the funeral, is the funeral car, whatever you've chosen, is that being paged? I.e., is there somebody walking in front of the car? That Victoriana thing again. But it could be a really important tradition for you. What is that? And really draw it down. What is that person wearing? And is that person male or female? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask, give people those choices, but I just feel that it is important for some people to have a man with the cane and the hat, and that is to them tradition, and that is proper. Whereas I don't do that, and obviously I'm not a man, but we have people with other colleagues who we can bring in for that role. Or I just say, look, I don't really wear a skirt and a top hat in my life, so I'd be distracted if I was doing that on the day of a funeral. But if you would prefer somebody in that uniform, then we can provide that. But we all wear black trouser suits. We want to be there, but not there really. And
generally with the customers you have, do you find that
they're all quite relieved, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
They go...
But that's probably why they come to you, I'm assuming.
Okay, quite possibly. Yeah.
And is it, I suppose, directly to that, how do customers find you? How do individuals find you? Is a lot of it word of mouth and probably previous experiences, or have you got some amazing marketing tool you use?
Word of mouth, as you would probably find as well, is your golden nugget, and that's what you're really hoping for, because it means somebody valued your service and want to put their reputation on the line and trust you with somebody else. Recommendation, but we can't do that kind of thing, refer a friend and get 50% off. We just can't do that. But tried lots of things. You'll know it's working in the business and working on the business. When actually I set up the business to work in the business. Yeah. And now suddenly I find myself managing and being responsible for a whole business and team, and going, we really do need to broaden my understanding and what have you, how do we do this? So I have a lot of third-party people that I have on board. Yeah. So I don't try and do my HR myself, I don't try and do my accounts myself, there are people that do this stuff really well. So they've really got under the skin of the business and understand how to promote it. But therefore we have a website, we have social media, recently done a film project as well. Yeah. Because how do people engage with information?
With us, it's really interesting what you say. So for me, I'm trying to be inside the business and I love garden plants, basically, so garden design and the creative side. But it's really hard to get pulled into the day-to-day. Our marketing is probably in a similar way. We're not doing any aggressive offers or anything. It's all about trying to word of mouth, just giving a really good service that hopefully leads to other people finding us, which I assume is quite...
It's a long journey, isn't it? And for me, I feel, it sounds really cliche, but I feel accountable to every pound. Because ultimately, if I'm putting a big advert somewhere, that is people's money.
I understand that.
And this is a funeral, and I don't want to be putting loads of extra on funerals and what have you.
Yeah, because it all has to come somewhere.
It's got to come from somewhere. It's a tricky balance for me, and I feel I wrestle with that. Is this an accountable pound? Do I feel this helps the greater good? Yeah,
that must be a bit about your social worker background. I would imagine the way maybe something in your past has made you have that social conscience, which is because it is. It's just it's more like a social enterprise the way your mindset. You mentioned about this filming you did, so that was at Everyman in Horsham, is that right? So why
we did a series of films which we then launched at Everyman.
That's
so we took a private hire of Everyman to launch these on our 10th anniversary last January.
Fantastic.
And invited in lots of folk who had been helped make the films, helped professionally, and just to do a springboard for those. And now we're doing a refresh to get those out them again. Yeah. But one of the things we're doing is doing them with BSL now, so we've got sign language interpreted. That's a phase we want to move into. So we are accessible to different communities.
Yeah, fantastic.
More than just taken for granted. Yeah. Or not seeing people in the community. How can we translate our films now?
Yeah, it's really great. I think I mentioned this when I first met you that I'm absolutely terrified of dying. I think a lot of my experience over my life has been because I'm just trying to live every minute, the row in my 20s, and all the things I've tried to do is just experience life. How is your relationship with death? Given what you're doing, I feel like it must be at the forefront of your mind all the time. How do you cope with that? Or is it not a problem for you?
I what do I think about death? Yeah, I'm alongside. I still keep changing my funeral wishes.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea. I like that one. I have a faith, I have a personal faith, and sometimes that's really stretched and challenged. A lot of questions come because of the trauma that we see and brokenness that we see. But my faith, for me, my faith is strong. But what I think, more than anything, it's the extremities of the lifespans that we support. So small people, you think they didn't even get off the ground, some folk, and that's sad, but that is a deep privilege to be alongside people in often very private grief. We have a programme called Dandelion Dreams, so pregnancy and baby loss, which again is a really taboo topic, really, but we want to just be more alongside. And yet you meet, as it were, the folk who are 100, 102, 103, and you think, my gosh, what a privilege to be the last person to ever see this body that has been on this earth for so long.
Yeah.
You can't imagine it. Can we go, what have your hands done in your life? Where have your feet been? And you do have to kind of have a pinch yourself moment and think, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But people have stories, and we try to not be nosy, but just take a moment and think, what a privilege to be asked to look after this person, whoever they are. So I guess our hope for the business is that we become even more of a household name, without having to spend an awful lot on that, because it's everyone's pound. But people understanding how we work and the intention behind that, sort of the emotional intelligence and the intention behind what we're doing.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We're going to share loads of links about the bits you've mentioned. If you were someone looking to start a business now,
oh my gosh,
any hints and tips for someone? Should they do it?
It's interesting talking to funeral directors, many of them now who are along the tooth go, they wouldn't start again. The sector has changed so much, and now with regulation on the horizon and the rise of direct cremation, it's such a different sector. Would I start a business? Well, I didn't intend to start a business. So I think my advice would be bring in good third parties. Find your confidence and don't try and do it all yourself.
Yeah, I think that's, it's funny, the more that I've gone down my journey, everyone says delegate, which I do to a point, but I think it's hard, it's really hard. But I think just surround yourself with really exceptional people, which we try to do here. And part of this podcast really is about all the exceptional people I meet who've gone on different journeys, and this is a really interesting journey. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's brilliant. We've run out of time.
Privilege to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
no, thanks for coming down.
We should link at another
100%.
networking group.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Plant Hunter Guide podcast. You can find all the details of how to share below. Thank you again.
The Plant Hunter Guide podcast.